Please welcome Patricia E. Gillespie.
So I do have the first question, but I just want to say you must see this documentary, and I want to say to you, as someone who tells such a moving story, where I end afterwards is in such a different place. Yeah. You gave so much heart and humanity, and the technical details you added. This was one of the best documentaries I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. You nailed this. And my love to the family, because you really are carrying their hearts through all of this. But what brought you to this story?
Yeah, I think I discovered the story the same way a lot of people did, and that was hearing these little snippets of the recording that were sort of circulating on social media at the time. And I grew up in a similar background as Beebo. And, you know, I grew up working class, and there was something in his voice and what he was saying that I recognized sounded like a lot like the people I'm from.
Just, you know, Beebo is Richard the pilot.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's a family nickname.
Yeah. Yes.
But everybody's nickname for him. But yeah, so I also felt that the narrative was sort of spinning out of control, getting a little sensationalized or politicized in this way that made me feel like we were missing part of the human story. And I felt called to explore that.
You brought all the human back.
This film marks the first time that the family spoke about this, right?
Yeah, the family was very media-verse for reasons that I think are pretty understandable. This got glommed onto and, like I said, sort of sensationalized, politicized in such an extreme way that I think they were nervous about how to get their voice in the mix.
So what was the biggest challenge you had to face to get them to talk?
You know,
How did you do it?
Yeah, I think I knew I did not want to make this film without the family's participation.
Yeah.
I thought the only responsible way to do it was with them and in their voice, especially to carry this important message about mental health, to show how people's mental health affects their loved ones. So it really was a process of years, you know, writing back and forth with Karen, his mom. And then once his mom decided she was ready and she wanted to tell the story, people came on board.
It's not overnight when you create something great.
It is really a fantastic documentary.
Thank you so much.
And one of the reasons why it was politicized is because when he's flying the plane, they're telling him that if he could land that plane safely, he could get any job he wanted at Horizon Air, which was the company that he worked for. He responds, "Nah, I'm a white guy." And I think that was misinterpreted, obviously, because his black coworker said that he was not racist, but that white does not wash away poor. So one of the takeaways from this film is how working class America is seen and how it feels.
Yeah.
So can you describe what that moment reveals about working class Americans?
Yeah, I think when I first heard that line, my heart sank, right? Because there's no way to say, that sounds bad. Yeah. But, and I knew because it sounded sort of bad and out of joint with the rest of the recordings we'd heard, I needed to figure out where that statement came from. And as I dug deeper, I realized in this politicization of that line, where people wanted to take it, you know, to the political fringes of society, we really missed this really important human story and a really important class story. You'll have to watch the film to see unpacked, but, and I think that's happening a lot. I think we're not able to talk about the realities of the American economy, how much, you know, regardless of our gender, race, religion, we actually have in common those of us who need to work for a living, right? And the changing landscape of the American dream.
And it's a tough job being a ground agent.
Yes.
For sure, that it's an incredibly demanding job.
And I have to mention quickly, one of the most shocking moments is where Richard says, "I don't feel like living anymore." How did you tell that part specifically of the story to do it responsibly?
I think that was lines like that are why we needed the family in there. And the film used a device of the family listening to the audio really for the first time. It was the first time they heard it put together. And I never wanted the audience to lose the understanding that when you harm yourself, you harm your family, you harm your loved ones, whether you mean to or not.
Sky King is streaming right now on Hulu and on Hulu on Disney+. Do yourself a favor. You may see more of yourself than you know in this story.